right, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to our weekly live webinar. Today we have Mr. Darren on, he's been, of course, a guest of ours. You guys have seen him a couple times. So we just wanted to briefly come on and talk a little bit about American Amicable and a little bit about what they offer to the market, and obviously some things that maybe are going on in the market right now. So again, without further ado, you guys have talked to Mr. Darren before. He's been on a couple of times. So again, we'll welcome him back with American Amicable and go from there. Thank you, Darren.
All right, Brett. Appreciate the introduction and always appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys. So hopefully I don't mess anything up too bad today. I'm going to get started here, and hopefully my presentation is still showing here. For those of you who may not be familiar with American Amicable, just a couple of points here I want to mention. I've been around since 1910, so certainly not a new company out there. It is always nice to mention to folks that you can represent a company who's been around for well over 100 years. We're home officed in Waco, Texas, which is actually where the company was originally found. So, consistency, stability is kind of one of the pillars that American Amicable is built on. Our AM Best rating is A, excellent, which is one of the best you could have. So again, strong financially, doing business in simplified issue and final expense for over 20 years. I believe we first got into final expense in 2003. And our employees, generally speaking, are folks who have been around a long time, which is very helpful because especially, again, dealing with seniors in this marketplace, having people who know, how to do their jobs, more importantly, why they do their jobs. Basically, we love our policyholders, but taking care of our agent partners is really our number one priority. So knowing that you guys, because of your efforts, help keep the lights on, help us pay the water bills. I mean, that's what's really important. And that's really why we try to do our best to provide the best level of service that we can. And last point here on the screen, committed to growth. And there's been a lot going on in the final expense industry, and just in the first 6-7 months of this year. So it's really unprecedented times. And we at American Amicable are owned by a parent company that's very strong financially, and not only wants to see us continue in this market, but to grow in this market. And one of the things that has happened here very recently, for those of you who may be familiar with the changes relating to prosperity, we've been getting a lot of questions related to that recently. And just a couple points here before I move on. They're still a separate company. They're still operating. They're still taking care of policyholders and paying agents and all that good stuff. They've basically just simply stopped selling products in the final expense market. Now, down the road, yes, at some point, American Amicable will take over the administration of that book of business. So at some point, policyholders will call us, to request a beneficiary change. Beneficiaries will call us to request claim payments. Agents will call us if there's issues with commissions and stuff like that. Hasn't happened yet. Won't happen for a little bit. But right now it's business as usual with American Amicable, and we're just continuing to sell our products the way that we always have. Okay, speaking of selling our products, I'm going to focus on just the one product in our session today, in the interest of time, which is our final expense product that we call the Senior Choice. It's for clients ages 50 to 85, and we go down to a minimum of $25,000 of death benefit. I'll talk about each of these 3 death benefit plans that a client can qualify for more in a moment, but essentially we've got 3, as I said, and the day one or immediate coverage goes up to $50,000, and the other 2 plans go up to $25,000 maximum. Several different riders that we have available here. The grandchild rider, just real quickly, is a tremendous thing to offer for clients. It's one of those things that obviously goes beyond just the coverage on the senior. It's helping to do something to benefit their grandkids and great grandkids, for that matter, which is something that obviously they're very interested in doing, and you just have to explain how you can help them, which has this term insurance that covers those grandkids in the event that they do pass away, but it has a really neat conversion privilege that allows them to get their own permanent plan of insurance with us. And the key thing there is without any underwriting. So guaranteed insurability, even if those grandkids develop an uninsurable condition at an early age, regardless of that, they'll still be able to have insurance with us. So, you may not be able to pass along a large financial legacy to your grandkids, but you can pass along basically an insurance legacy for those grandkids by ensuring that they'll be able to have their own coverage down the road. Nursing home waiver premium, if that happens to them when they're confined to a nursing home, this benefit will allow them to no longer make premium payments. We at American Amicable will pay their premium payments at that point. So really nice additional benefit to add. And then we have accidental death, which is your standard, ADB that we're all familiar with. And then for no cost, there's a terminal illness rider that will allow them to collect up to 100% of the death benefit if they are diagnosed with a life expectancy of 12 months or less. So that's money for them to spend however they choose, whether it be, maybe for medical bills or for some experimental treatment that's very costly. They can use that money towards that, or anything else for that matter. And then the confined care rider, which allows them to now actually collect money from us if they happen to be confined to a nursing home. If they're confined, let's say they have a $10,000 policy with us, they could get 5% of that paid to them each month, or $5,000, or excuse me, $500 in that example. And every month it reduces the death benefit. So after one payment, that's $10,000 policy becomes $9,500, $9,000, etc. So a nice benefit for them to receive some money, when they're confined to that nursing home. This slide is a little more busy, so I apologize. It gets into the depths of the 3 different plans that we offer with a little more detail. The immediate or day one full death benefit, but we call it immediate. For clients up to age 75, we go up to that 50K limit. For 76 and older, we cap it at 25K. And of course, whenever death occurs after policy is issued, we would pay that full death benefit. If they can't qualify for that plan, they may be eligible for our graded plan. The way that works is if death occurs during the first year, we would pay out 30% of whatever the death benefit is. Death in year 2, we would pay out 70%. Then after the second year, we would pay out the full 100% of the death benefit. And then lastly, we have what we call return of premium. Some companies refer to it as a modified. Death during the first couple of years after the policy has been issued, the beneficiary is going to receive, the premiums that have been paid in the policy plus 10% interest. So very similar to basically every other company out there in terms of having multiple plans that a client can qualify for. Just so you know, if you were to get, 100 policies written with American Amicable, you'd expect to see about 70 to 75 of those policies issued in the immediate category, about 20 to 25% in the return of premium category, and then about 2 to 5% that might fall in that graded plan, just to kind of give you a sense of the breakout of how we issue these policies. Now, those are how the plans work. Okay, what the real meat of the story I want to tell here, and I'm going to skip ahead, is about the process. So first thing to know is, as soon as you get a writing number with American Amicable, as soon as that number has been issued, you have access to our online application. From what I understand, with some companies, they require you to write your first application on paper, for example. That's not the situation with us. Your first application can and hopefully will be done using our online application, which is found at www.insuranceapplication.com. There, when you complete an application with us, we will provide you an on-screen underwriting decision, which these days is becoming, very, very common. So that's probably not, a startling thing to hear that, from a company. But one of the things that we'll certainly talk about today is some of the information that we give you as part of our point of sale decision process that other companies do not, and that really makes a difference for you as the agent. So let's jump into some of that. So I'm going to display here a couple of examples of the outcomes that you might see writing business with American Amicable. These examples are cases that have been approved for our day one or immediate death benefit. When you see these messages, obviously that's the best case scenario for you. There's nothing more for you to do on these cases other than just wait for the policy to get issued and get paid. So we love those, but unfortunately, there's going to be cases where you don't get the issued as applied for answer. So you may get something like this. So you were applying for our immediate plan, but based upon the information that we see when we underwrite the client, it's determined that we believe they should be a return of premium or modified death benefit. So point one is obviously we're notifying you of that. Point two is, and here's where we start to differentiate ourselves from the competition, is then we then tell you what the concern is. So in this case, it was medication, Symbicort. So if you know what Symbicort is commonly taken for, which is typically asthma or COPD, you can kind of start building a case to maybe either challenge the underwriting decision, which I'll talk about in a second, or potentially now to pivot to another company. For example, COPD is a condition that American Amicable issues as return of premium. So now if you know that your client has COPD, you might then pivot to a company that may issue COPD as day one coverage. The key thing there is to do that while you're still with the client at point of sale. So it's a real easy pivot to that other company. Or that, hey, I knew they were taking Symbicort, but they're taking it because of their asthma. So I don't think that American Amicable's decision here is accurate. What you can do is there's an option there to add additional information or notes. And effectively now you are challenging the outcome. And you can just simply give us an explanation, something to the effect, client takes Spiriva, but they're taking it for asthma and not for COPD. And speaking of the challenge process, and again, sorry, we're getting off in the weeds a bit, but it's so important. When you challenge a case with us, that automatically requires that application to get further review by a human being, by an actual underwriter who will take into account all factors that they can see, including the additional explanation that you have provided. The notes that you put here become part of the application, which is part, again, of what the underwriters will review. So number one, it automatically triggers that review. Part two, also very important to that, is there is a high success rate when an agent puts in those notes and challenges those outcomes. It's a stat that we monitor. It's in the neighborhood of 70% of the time when an agent gives us a challenge of that nature, we will actually go with the original plan applied for and in effect override the on-screen decision. Now, I can't overstate that enough about how important that is, about giving you that option to consider the case further and know that we're going to listen to you, and in a high percentage of the time actually go with what you are telling us is the plan to issue on that client. So we let the agent have a big role in the process. Most companies, once the decision is given, there's absolutely no opportunity for you to make a case further with your client. Another outcome you might see is a refer to home office outcome. So these are cases where, based upon our initial checks, that we've done on this client, we're not able to render one of those plans or a decline decision. So we're going to take this case and now automatically have a human being, again, review this case for further consideration. In this instance, we're also, again, telling you what the issue is. In this case, it's because of albuterol. And once again, you're able to add additional notes about why they're taking that medication if you choose. So they're taking it for asthma and not for COPD, as an example. So all of these examples and the challenge option that I presented to you, it really just positions American Amicable to be a great company for you to lead with, because you're not just simply, relying on a yes no decision from us. If it's a decision you don't agree with, you know what the complicating factors are. Another great example is if maybe we come back and say this one's a decline and it's because of a medication like Aricept. Well, at that point, then this is a client that I really can't place with any other traditional final expense company. I'll probably have to go a guaranteed issue route with that client. But rather than submit a second FE app only to get it declined as well, you now immediately can pivot directly to the guaranteed issue. So again, that's really some of the main points I wanted to mention today. We could talk a lot more in depth about product features and so forth, but getting started with American Amicable, going out there, writing that first case is always the biggest challenge is doing that first one. But I would encourage you to take advantage of these features that I've mentioned. Take advantage of the information that we give you. And even if that case doesn't wind up getting placed with American Amicable, we feel like if we can benefit you, the agent, and the client by getting in with the right company, then we're certainly okay with that. So with that being said, I will wrap things up and Brent, turn things back over to you.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Darren.